So these are people that are regarded as geniuses and what their estimated IQ was. For me, this is interesting because it seems like there's no correlation between high IQ and someone that is considered a genius. But still, we still give IQ tests so much respect, and most people feel like they're so much inferior than others. The IQ test itself has been around for over a century, and it has multiple variations that we're going to go through with their organizations and people that are trying to make this type of system or IQ test scaling much better and valuable to people. These tests have been widely used for education and employment and everything. I myself took an IQ test before I went to university. They were using it to test us to see which types of subjects were most competent in, and they'll use that in some type of psychological way. At the end of this video, I'll reveal my IQ. Stay tuned for that. But these tests sometimes have been used in questionable ways by countries and other organizations. This is how IQ tests are fully new. So the IQ test was like derived from a number of tests. So the score that you get comes from a number of tests. This is like one of the later IQ tests that we're going to talk about. And the intelligence of people was questioned many years ago, and if they can be measured. So people with egos and everything, they want to know if they are smarter than other people. So they question how they can measure this thing. This dates back millennials. People have been trying to answer this question, but back in 1904, Alfred Bonnet designed this type of test for the French government, because at that time in France, they wanted to help kids to see which ones will have difficulty in school and how they could help them. So this was like a good thing back in the day. Bonnet asked a colleague, Theodore Simon, to help him design this type of test. It wasn't focusing on things that kids were taught in school. It focused on attention, memory, and problem solving. Some of these kids answered way more advanced questions than other kids are. So this is the first thing that most people saw as these kids are more advanced than others. So then in 1916, Stanford University psychologist Louis Terman took the idea from Bonnet Simon and adapted it to the American public. This new scale was named Stanford-Bonnet from the other guy that did this, Stanford-Bonnet Intelligence Scale. And it became the standard intelligence test for several decades to come in the United States. The use of a single number known as the IQ, the score that we know right now, was taken. So if you get a higher score, they will determine this is 100, which is average now. If you got a 96 or whatever, that's the standardized number. This came from the Stanford-Bonnet intelligence. So when the Great War was announced, this was around 1918 or so, right? The American Army, the US Army, developed its own IQ test to screen individual recruits on which task they'll be able to do in this military job. The Army Alpha was a written test, so this was for people that were illiterate. Then the Alpha Beta was for people that couldn't read or whatever, they were illiterate. They administered these verbal tests to people that were illiterate. In the coming years after the war, these tests were used for less and less admirable ways for people that were entering the United States from the Ellis Island. Give immigrants these IQ tests so that they would determine if they were worth being in the United States. The crazy thing to me when I'm reading the story is that these people, most of them couldn't even speak English. They didn't understand the language, but they were screened using the IQ test developed in the United States only in English. Thousands of people were deported because of this, deemed unworthy or undesirable. Basically, this said that they are dumb because they couldn't write or perform well in an IQ test. Of course, this deportation of immigrants took a while until they stopped at the beginning of World War II, when the news spread all over the world that Nazi Germany was happening, Hitler was doing his thing. So then in 1955, the Wilshire Adult Intelligence Scale, this is the WAIS scale, made its debut, right? So this psychologist, Robert Wishler, developed a couple of IQ tests that will make its debuts over the coming years. So we had 3: Wishler Intelligence Scale for children, Wishler Intelligence Scale for adults, Wishler Primary School Intelligence Scale for Intelligence, but developed later. These were 3. So the adult version is the one that we're still currently using right now. So the Wishler Adult Intelligence Scale is the one that we're using right now. So like if you want to take an IQ test, it's the one that you take. It has had 4 revisions from 1984. So in the first one was the one that he developed in 1955, and then there's R 1981, and then there's 3 in 1997, and then the 4th one in 2008, which is the one that we're using right now. So there are several IQ tests that they are currently administering in the United States. I don't know about here. These widely tests adults, and it measures like their verbal capabilities, their performance in intelligence through a series of subtests. And then we have, of course, the Stanford Binet Intelligence Scale. This is a test that is designed to measure intelligence across a wide range of ages between 2 and 90. This is like the one that dates back to 1916. And then we have Caveman Assessment Battery for Children. This assesses kids for their intelligence and cognitive abilities. We have Differential Ability Scale. This is a test that assesses cognitive abilities in children and adults. And then we have Woodcock and Johnson test of cognitive abilities. I know I said Wood and Cock and Johnson all in the same time, which is weird. These tests are also used to assess cognitive abilities in teen adults and children, including verbal and non-verbal intelligence. So now it's better with the IQ test in terms of like how they're not separating groups, and people that are more advantageous will get higher scores. Before, if you're in like higher class and you're white, you'll get a higher score because you understand the language because it's yours. Now it's more logical based questions, and you just write those logic questions, and then they determine your IQ. So now it's better, but still it doesn't give people like the correct result. Like it doesn't show your future. People, when they write an IQ test, they write it to see how much they're going to succeed in the future, but that's not true, because hard work works. To get that line, hard work is the one. Hard work and multiple things combined are the ones that are going to determine your